Welcome, yogis, to Kick My Asana. I don't even know what day it is. And if you're joining me later, the series that I'm introducing is going to be called Make It to the Splits. So if you want to revisit this, you can also check out that online program that'll be put on at the end of this challenge. So if you're visiting me anytime after February 28th, 2024, that online program will be there. We'll open our practice by extending your legs as wide as you possibly can. And some of you, it'll look like a pretty narrow gap between the feet, and that's okay. You're really just starting out practice, so don't push yourself to your whole limit and listen to your body as you go in. You might notice today that I have 2 blocks with me. If you don't have blocks, you can always use something else that's firm. You can use even soup cans, and I think most everyone has access to soup cans. For forward fold and opening meditation, I want to be as comfortable as I possibly can. So if seated wide-legged fold is not for you, you're welcome to stay upright or take whatever shape feels good that leaves you feeling grounded and you can really relax in. Because it's so early in practice, I want to bring my blocks in. Hamstrings are always something that's tight on me. And if you have tight hamstrings, you can also use a block underneath the knees or some kind of cushion underneath the knees as well to have the bend there. Forearms come down either to your mat or blocks. And right away, I'm gonna squeeze my glutes just to wake them up, onboard them. And if there's any sort of tug that's happening at the back of my leg, I'm gonna flex my feet. I wanna make sure that my strength is as firm as it's gonna be when I go to exit the posture, because that's typically when an injury will happen, is when we're long enough, but not strong enough. And you can have either flat back or rounded spine, whatever feels most comfortable, nurturing, and gives you kind of an opportunity to exit your body for a moment and go into your subtler layers. The opening of practice, moving through, relaxing any tension in the physical body. Then we'll enter into breath body, noticing how you're breathing. Where you're breathing. And how long each breath is. Your mind settled on breath. You may notice that your body is relaxing more and more. And going behind breath to the watcher of breath. Begin to observe your thoughts. And they may be so busy that you can't make out a single thought. It just feels loud or makes you feel anxious when you go there. Drawing back a little bit more. Becoming aware that the thoughts are separate and apart from who you are. We can think of ourselves, our essence, like a movie screen, and thoughts and experiences and periods of our lives is the movie that plays on them. And all of it is changing at all times. And slowly draw up, bringing your palms down to your mat if you made it down to your forearms, and coming up to a nice tall seat. opening up the interior of the leg. We're going to clasp the hands together. I don't even know what this is called, to be honest. Thread your fingers together. And then with your inhale, drive your knuckles towards your left foot and then press them as far forward as you can. Glutes will be locked here. So this is a strong glute engagement as well as abdominal engagement. So holding here, thinking about pushing the heart forward and lengthening the spine as the knuckles reach far, far, far away from the body. And then sweeping over to the right foot. Draw the elbows into your body as you stack each vertebra, coming taller and taller to the center. And then extending again, arms towards toes, to the center, all the way around and back up. You can close your eyes while you do this. Continue following the motions of left to right for a few more. And become aware of how tight you're squeezing your hands together, because I know I'm just about to lose all my fingers. And then next time you come to the center, you'll stop. Hold, glutes are squeezed, remember, abdominal engaged, and then reversing. Now you're coming over to left and pulling back up and then over to right, through center, left, back, nice and tall, and over to the right. Closing your eyes if you can. And thinking about not just how far your knuckles are going when you come through center, but thinking about how strong your spine, back body, and interior stomach is becoming. Glutes firm to the bone, holding your seat in place. And then landing at wrist to belly, shoulders come down. Gaze can soften or eyes can close. Squeeze your glutes so that it presses your sternum slightly forward. So squeeze the glutes or push the glutes out, activating them. Sternum comes forward, and then arms will reach up towards the sky, and then flip your palms up towards the ceiling. Holding for 3 more breaths. Legs are active and engaged, feet are flexed, glutes are firming or pressing, whatever drives your sternum forward here. Last breath. And a slow drop of the hands out to the side, slow, 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 still dropping, only about halfway if your eyes are closed. And then softly, softly, softly land alongside body. From here, this may be just even the intention of a lift. Some of us won't leave the ground. Some of us will leave a little bit, and then others maybe just flying like crazy. I like to turn wrists in, fingers away, press down through the heels, lock the quads onto the bone, flex the feet, lift your hips. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And relax. Let your whole body soften back down to the earth. We have 2 more sets of those. And maybe you have an area you could work on from the first lift that you noticed. Hey, I'm weak here, not squeezing there. Everything should be activated about your lower body. Setting up for round 2. And exhale, press down through the heels, quads are locked, hips lift. Maybe you're just trying to fire up. Core is really activated here. And then soften, everything comes down. And last one, prepare your hands. Prepare your legs, Prepare your breath. Breathe in, empty, lift. Release when you're ready, or stay with me for 5, 4, 3, don't lose your quad strength, 2, 1. Hips drop down, and then bring your hands forward. Start to flash open your palms. First, pointing away into each other, down, and turning palms away from each other, rotating the wrists into center. And come back, hands tuck underneath so that you can cross your ankles and move forward into tabletop. To say I am losing my words would be an understatement. Stick with me. Knees come underneath the hips, wrists underneath shoulders. Breath in, belly drops, gaze looks up. Exhale, rounded spine, pressing the hands into the earth, squeezing into the fingertips. And breath in, belly drops, lungs fill, heart leads forward. Empty out, squeezing everything up and out. 3 more, your own pace and breath. If you want to bring in some side twists, or maybe you go from child's pose to cobra, you have a few more breaths to do that. And back through center, we'll walk the hands back. Stack your shoulders over your hips, which are over your knees. Pelvis slightly forward. Arms come out to the side. Sort of like you're in a mountain pose or Tadasana, but your feet are now your knees. You're anchoring into the earth here. Maybe you need blocks. And I'm probably going to use blocks mostly to show you, but if your hands weren't on blocks, they'd be down on the mat. I'm going to bring my hands slightly forward, step forward to the top of the mat with right foot. Hands can stay on the blocks or down on the earth, and then really soften into your hips. Let your left hip crease open up and squeeze lots of compression into your right hip crease. More energy into your left glute, squeeze. Continue to squeeze, don't hold your breath. Left glute stays strong and activated. Continue to drop down through left hip crease. Softer, deeper. And then we'll walk hands back as your hips slide back. Try to keep your hips stacked over top of your knee, and then extend your right leg forward. So you might need to use some quad strength to lift the heel and plant it slightly in front of where you are. So it's about 1 or 2 inch lift and forward. Toes come up, heel is down, and dragging your heel down into your mat but not moving. This is an energetic drag. You're going to pull the heel back towards you, plugging in your right hip. And then noticing what that right hip plugging in does for your left hip. Come slightly forward. Your hands can be wherever you feel the most sensation through the back of your leg, without changing your breath. So having a really good round whole inhale and exhale. Back isn't rounded at all, flat spine. If we round into our back, then the stretch comes into the low back and leaves the hamstring. But you'll notice if your heart is reaching towards your knee, that takes a lot of length through the back of the leg. And we're breathing here for 4 more. I know it's a long, drawn out posture, especially if you're tight here, it can feel like swear words. Walk your hands back just outside your knee and then lift your heel and plant your foot underneath your knee. So be a little bit shorter from where we started. Back toes tuck, hips lift, and you'll find pyramid pose. So back leg, which is your left leg, is straightening and your left heel is trying to drive down to the ground. Front foot fully planted, and then a slight bend through the right knee if you can make it there. If you have a pretty big bend, that's okay too. Just looking for a lot of sensation happening in the backside of your front leg again. So landing here wherever you are, maybe you still even need to come in slightly with your back leg so that your heel can touch down. And the toes turning out to 11 o'clock, if that feels better for you, do that. Pull your right hip into a center line slightly. And then bend through your front knee, walk your hands forward so that when you lean forward, your shoulders stack over your wrists. Slight bend through that right front leg, your right front leg, I should say. It doesn't belong to just anybody. Press down through your right leg, lock the glute, lift your back toes away, really slow. Right glute, so strong. Heart drops down, head comes lower. Your left heel as high as it can get without your hip opening, so big toe turning out to the side. And then both feet will step forward. You can keep blocks or find the floor with your hands. Head drops. Heart is slowing down as the shoulders relax, hanging in your forward fold. Halfway lift, strong flat back, and fold. Half lift, fold. We'll take a big step to the back of the mat. You can walk your hands back, or not back, but mid-back. Drop your knees down. And this time, it's a toe squat. Grab your baby toe and bring it down to your mat. Lots of times they're kind of up, hiding away. Maybe you can sit your hips on your heels if that's too much. And if you haven't done toe squat ever or in a long time, it probably is a lot. So you might want to bring your hips slightly forward or right on top of the knees with the toes tucked, and just looking for sensation that's not pain. And I gotta tell you, I think toe squat is borderline pain for me. Like, I never go in and I'm like, I'm just uncomfortable. Like, I'm like, this is awful the whole time. But try to stay out of the story around the sensation unless it truly is pain, and acknowledge what your body's responding with. Like, all the thoughts, oh my God, I should leave this. This is awful. I can leave this. No one's holding me here. But if we do that every time we're in discomfort, we leave a lot of things undone that just are pushing us to our edge. So here I'm just going to try to push you a little bit more to your edge, maybe 4 breaths. There's a lot going on here today, so if you hear noises in the background, I sure hope you use your Yogi Jedi powers to be okay with them. Hips stack over knees, shoulders over hips, and thinking about firming up that lower abdomen. I might even just have my blocks up there ready for me. And then left foot is gonna step forward, hands come to the blocks. Maybe you need to walk your back foot slightly behind you. I know for me, to get any kind of stretch through the right hip crease, I had to walk my knee back just now. Blocks or floor. Right hip softening down. Lots of length through the right front body and compression through left front body. You may be soft in your right glute. You might have forgotten. The neural pathways that are formed around glutes are just, everyone's glutes are sleeping nowadays. We just forget to activate them. Our back takes a lot of stress. So you're gonna squeeze your right glute onto your body and then see what that does for your right hip crease. Probably gives it a little bit more of a stretch. Left glute firms to body. And then seeing if you could drop your breath into your pelvic bowl and what that might feel like if you find freedom there with your breath. Some of us are very, very tight in the pelvic bowl area. And emotions might even start to come up. Not sure if this is all that I did on the other side, but I'm going back into half split now. So if I miss something, do it. I can't remember. My body obviously doesn't need it today. So heel is down, big toes up. And sometimes I'll use my hand to move my leg forward, or other times I'll squeeze muscle to quad or a bone and then go forward. Onboarding a lot of quad strength there. And hands come back, heart reaches forward, crown towards toes. And remember, right hip over the knee. We don't want to be too far back, and mine kind of is. We spent a lot of time here on the other side. Completely different experiences. And the last 4 breaths. If you can go any lower, maybe if your blocks run high, you might be able to put them down on their lowest side and come even closer heart to knee. And then coming up, bending through your front leg. You want to lift your heel and bring it back underneath so that heel lands under left knee. Tuck the back toes and lift the hips for a pyramid pose. You can change your foot stance to anything that allows you to get the most stretch through the back of the left leg. And I feel it the most on the outside of my right leg, but I do know that it's supposed to be going down the back of the right leg, but mostly I feel it on the exterior of my calf. And I really encourage you to know where these poses hit your body, especially if you're teaching. You can try to understand everyone else's bodies, but you really, really, really need to know your own. And little bend through your front knee as you stack your blocks, and shift forward, shoulders stacking over wrists, back heel comes up, head goes down, and that left leg, it might be in a pretty good bend,
You want to get as much of the bend out of it as possible while still engaging your quads. So you don't want to dump into the back of your knee, but have a straight leg, left glute strong onto the body, right glute lifting right heel, everything working together. And both feet forward. Hands can be on blocks or not. Forward fold. Halfway lift. And folding, stepping or hopping back, plank, and lowering all the way down onto your mat. I don't know how this is going to work with the sound, but coming into, what do I call this? Oh, frog. No, not half frog. Fallen tree. Elbows come out shoulder height. You can be cactus or fingers reaching away from the body. Bend your right knee out 90-degree angle and bring your heel directly underneath the knee, but everything is heavy into the earth. So you look like Spider-Man climbing a building. That's actually someone else's cue. You might notice that it didn't land right. I'm like, I don't even watch Spider-Man. And your head can go down either right ear for a little bit more of a upper spine twist, or left ear that tends to not to have as much torque. Oh gosh, there's the chainsaw. Welcome to my world. I hope you can't hear it, but if you can, we're almost done. Deep yogi breaths. Gaze will come forward first, followed by right leg going straight and left side. So doing the exact same thing on your left side. And I'll leave you in peace because the chainsaw stopped. And back through center, gaze comes first, followed by leg. And you can plant your palms. Keep your knees together as you shift your hips up and back. Head will come down and palms reach towards the heels, up towards the sky.
Closed knee child's pose is where I'm going to leave you today. You can have your Shavasana in this pose or make your way onto your back. I hope you enjoyed this round of practice, and I'll see you again. Namaste.